Welcome back to Connect Conversations, styled by Hidden Hideout. Today I'm delighted to be joined by good friend Anna Cameron. How are we?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Listen, thank you for coming on, taking the time. So I'm going to delve right into athletics, Reformer Pilates, PTA and setbacks, the whole thing. In terms of athletics then, so obviously going right back to when you started, 9 years old, what first got you into it?
It was in school, so we all did a little bit of athletics and PE and things like that, and then it was actually the PE teacher that told me to then try it out with school in a club, so I just took it from there. I started mainly doing kind of that long distance cross country that we were kind of all forced to do in school, and then I kind of, as we'll talk about it later, I got into more of a kind of individual event, which was the sprints. But yeah, starting off it was just in school. My teacher said to me, oh, you should try go to the local club, and then took it from there. Started with the local club and then went to a bigger club and then a bigger club. So yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah, and was it something you knew right away you enjoyed doing, or was it something you kind of had to get into a little bit?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it in primary school. We had quite a small class, there was about 10 of us, but I just enjoyed being like the fastest in the class, like over the boys. And my dad used to always say to me, like, never let a boy beat you. So I just took it from there. I think that gave me the motivation. And then, yeah, I loved it. And then I just continued it, and I've been doing it ever since I was 9. So I'm 24 now, so I must really enjoy it.
Yeah, you must enjoy it. Was competition something you kind of spoke there in terms of beating the boys? Was competition something you've thrived on?
Yeah, I would say I'm competitive, but in the inside, I don't really like to show it on the outside, but definitely on the inside, I think that's what's kept me in the sport, is the competition aspect, even from a young age. Like you're doing these team events, and then you might go to an individual event. So yeah, I definitely have that kind of inner competitiveness.
And what did you find toughest growing up, you know, especially in that younger age, that kind of 9 years old, you know, late primary school, early secondary? What was the toughest parts?
I think when I started it, I enjoyed doing a bit of everything, but in primary school things were kind of leading to more towards cross country, and I actually found it extremely nerve-wracking at such a young age. Yep. And I remember like my dad taking me up to these cross country events, and I think I still have PTSD. He'd take me up to places like Kirkcaldy in the middle of nowhere, and you had to run a couple of miles, and it would be like muddy, wet, and you'd be just so young and tiny at that age. But I would do well in it, so then I enjoyed it afterwards. But yeah, I found the cross country quite hard for a young age, but I just kept it going, and then as time went on, changed the distance that I did, and found the kind of event that was good for me.
Yeah, and obviously myself with a swimming background, you know, training can be quite tough, especially then trying to balance that alongside school and even early school, and then getting into kind of, you know, mid-secondary, late secondary. How did you find that balance in terms of both the training and schoolwork?
Yeah, so in primary school, obviously all fine. My parents would drive me there, so shout out to them. But as time went on and I started high school, you know, or even going into the years where you have your exams, it just is crazy. And then you're trying to do all the other sports at school with the other kids. So I was really into gymnastics as well. And then I would say 50-50 with the athletics and the gymnastics. And then I wanted to do both, but it came to a point where I had to pick one. So I kept with athletics. But yeah, it's just hard to kind of balance it all.
Yeah, you don't regret that decision at all in terms of shifting it? I know personally from my own point of view, like I had a point where I was like, it was between football and swimming. Yeah. And I went down the swimming route. Looking back, obviously I am where I am now because of swimming, but I'm like, I wonder how things would have worked out if I'd went down the football route.
I always think that too. Yeah. I always think that, but I guess you can't really think like that. Like I'm still in the sport that I'm doing now, so I must be enjoying it. But yeah, it does cross my mind what my life would have been like if I went down the gymnastics route, or even the other sports I did in school, like girls football. Yep. I was thinking maybe there'd be more opportunity in girls football for me now if I stuck to it, but you know, I'm really enjoying athletics, so yeah. Yeah,
no, brilliant. And in terms of the events specifically, you know, you'd said that you started out at 800 metres, 1500 metres. Yeah. Now kind of moved into sprints and long jumps. What started you on those events, and then what shifted to kind of change your focus onto the other events?
Yeah, so when I started on the more kind of long distance events, that was kind of from when we did the cross country and things in school, and my teacher was saying, oh, you should try that out and join a team. Then I eventually did join the local team, but I live kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's just like a small village. But then after a couple of years, they told me to move up to the other team, which was in Stirling. And they were a little bit more specific with different training groups. So you had like the endurance group or the kind of middle distance and then the sprints group. So I did start in the endurance. Sometimes I would do a little bit of both. I would do one day endurance group, the other day middle distance group. But yeah, I guess just over the years, the different coaches that I had maybe kind of saw the talent and thought maybe try out a different event. So I was always doing a bit of everything growing up. And then as I was about like 14, I was mainly focusing more on the 800s, and then from there it got a bit shorter.
Yeah, and in terms of you spoke about coaches there, was there any that growing up you really connected with?
Yeah, all of them. They're all so lovely. Like some of the coaches in my first club that I went to were, you know, some of them were volunteers, but they just, I think, made the experience very good at a young age, and that's why, I think that's a big influence why I continued doing the sport. And then even when I moved to other clubs and other teams, all the coaches were great, so I think it's definitely had an impact. And sometimes I still bump into my first ever Coaches Today competitions, and yeah, it's just so nice to see them. Yeah.
They always ask you how you're getting on.
I know, and they remember you, and I always think, I didn't think you'd remember me, but I remember you. So it's always nice to catch up with them. I've had like 8 or 10 coaches over the years, so yeah.
And in terms of that connection you have with coaches, because you know, as we spoke about, athletics is such an individual sport. In terms of constantly competing against the clock and yourself, how did that shape your mindset growing up, you know, through the early training days and then through school?
So the kind of aspect between the clock and competing and things like that. Well, I'd say athletics is one of those sports where you've got I don't want to say a lot more pressure than other sports because I don't compete in other sports, but it's quite an individual sport. So the pressure is on, and it is at the end of the day trying to get a time, so it's you against the clock, like you were saying. So the pressure is high, and especially I think being a woman, and when you kind of hit that 15, 16-year-old age and you start, you know, your menstrual cycle and things like that, you're going to see fluctuations, whereas when you're young, you're always just fit and fast, and then you start to see the fluctuations. So that made it really difficult because there'd be a period where I was running slower at the age of maybe 16 than I was when I was 13 or 14, which was quite mentally confusing. And at that time, your coaches didn't really obviously make you aware of that, but now with more studies and things like that, it makes more sense. So that was, it's just one of those sports where it just goes up and down. Sometimes it goes up for a while, then it might come back down, but it's quite hard to constantly keep it moving up. So it is a struggle. Like sometimes you think, am I ever going to get faster? And then you just have to stick in it, and then got to keep going for it. Yeah,
and you talk about those changes there in terms of, you know, as a young lady going through those changes. If you obviously working still in athletics and doing it yourself, have you been able to kind of pass on a bit of knowledge and help younger girls that are maybe coming through and just say like, don't worry if you're not feeling it?
I think people need to be aware of it, because me and my other training partners, we always talk about that. We have like that kind of phase where we all we call it just like a kind of slump phase. It might even last a year or two. And looking back now, we're definitely more aware it was probably menstrual cycle and things like that, and puberty. So it's one of those things that I would definitely try to talk to more younger athletes about. I have done quite a lot of kids coaching in the past, just at the local club in Scotstoun. So it would be something worth definitely bringing up so people are more aware of it. Yeah,
love that. In terms of that mentality you're talking about there, do you carry that into your work in terms of, you know, really helping people and really looking to see people thrive?
Yes, especially in an athletics context. Like when I was coaching the kids, it reminded me of when I was that age. So I'd always try and make it fun for them, make it more enjoyable instead of a kind of chore. Because obviously you get some coaches out there where it's, you know, it's quite tough, hard work from a really young age, but it can put people off. I think it should be enjoyable, and then if someone does have that talent, it can be kind of up to them whether they want to progress on to a more kind of independent coach rather than a bigger group. So I would just, if I were to go back to kids coaching, I would just always keep things fun, but then, you know, give them the chance to try everything as well. Like I had the chance when I was younger to try all the different events and then just find what works for them. Yeah,
I feel like it's striking that balance, isn't it? And this, as you said, not putting pressure on people too early, because I've seen it a lot. You know, there's a lot of good swimmers coming through, and I can imagine you'll be the same with athletics. You know, a lot of good athletes coming on different disciplines, and too much pressure on them at an early age because they're shining,
Yeah.
and they don't actually then make the grade because there's just far too much pressure on them.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that? Did you ever feel like there's any, like...
I never felt pressure from my training groups at all. I think the pressure mainly came from myself.
Yeah,
like
that
when
internal
you
pressure.
Yeah, when you see your time and then the next week you compete and your time's, even if it's a 0.1 milliseconds slower,
Yep.
you're putting pressure on yourself because it's just kind of you against the clock. But that's why also, I didn't mention this to you before, but there was the relay events, and that was the only part of athletics that's kind of done as a team.
Yep.
So that's when you're obviously a team of 4 running a relay, and they were so enjoyable. Everyone absolutely loved them because there was a little bit less pressure and you could actually relax for a bit. But back to the whole pressure thing, I think I was quite lucky growing up because I didn't have pushy parents.
Yep.
And there would be maybe other athletes in my training group that's parents were really pushy.
Yep.
Obviously they're just trying to, they want their kids to do well, but I think the reason why I've had such a good relationship with being in quite a competitive sport is because of my parents. They never pushed me once, and even if I had a bad race, they would just reassure me. That thing I was saying earlier goes up and down, that's what my parents taught me. So I was so lucky having really, sound parents growing up in the sport, and I think that made the experience more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I've seen it a few times actually when I was younger, and like my parents were the same. Like my mum was the same. Like she never like got on me if I had like a bad swim or that. And I remember that a few kids like their parents were screaming at them poolside.
I know it's
I don't know if you've seen that, but
I still remember it. And because I was mentioning too, we did a few relay competitions and things like that. The other mums of the athletes in the relay team, they would even start to put a bit of pressure on everyone in the team, and it felt a little bit odd. But then I was so used to my mum and dad being so relaxed and just trying to stay calm.
You're like, what
it
is
made me feel a bit anxious that the other parents were a bit more pushy. But I think everyone's different, and I was lucky my parents weren't pushy. I think that worked for me. And I think that's why I've stayed in the sport so long, to be honest.
Yeah, and in terms of talking about that team element of it, do you enjoy that individual pressure, or do you ever kind of miss that team aspect?
Individual pressure is a funny one because I feel like I do well under pressure. And
is that in all aspects, not just?
I think so. I think that is in kind of all aspects, but especially in the athletics. If I know I need to try, get a certain time or try make a final, the pressure is on. And if it's more of a kind of national competition versus like a league, you feel like there's more pressure at a national competition. And I don't know what it is, but for some reason I do better under pressure. So it does kind of work in my favour. You don't feel great at the competition or the night before, but again, that could just be the adrenaline. But I always really enjoyed the relays. It was a lot of pressure because obviously if someone drops the baton in a relay, you're going to think about it for like the rest of the year. So although there was a lot of pressure, it was just nice that it had the team aspect.
And in terms of, throughout that kind of athletics career up until now, even, was there any standout moments or achievements that that stick with you? Yeah,
there's a few. So one at a young age, I think I was 15 at the time, got my Scotland vest, which was very exciting at such a young age. And I still have all the kit. I still wear the Scotland bag to this day to training. So that's definitely stuck with me. And a recent one would probably be this summer getting a new personal best, which was actually in the long jump, which I haven't mentioned, but currently I'm doing the sprints now and the long jump, so that's the focus. So getting a PB in that was good because I'd waited 2 years for that PB, so it's worth the wait.
I was going to say totally worth it because obviously you can see, especially off your Instagram as well, just your dedication to the sport. Like you make it almost, a lot of people maybe have it their sport as a side to their main life, but you almost really implement it around your life, and obviously we'll go on to how you use Reformer Pilates and your PT around that. In terms of looking back, what lessons in athletics have you learned and you now take into your day-to-day life?
Probably the whole thing I was saying there about how it took me a couple of years to get a PB. Try not to expect myself to get a PB every single time I go to a competition, just because all the different factors that we'll get onto later, like injuries, it could even be your mental health that day, it could be your menstrual cycle. There's so many like external factors that can have an impact. So I think it would just be patient, and I like the phrase just go with the flow and just if you enjoy it, keep doing it. If you're not really enjoying it, maybe ask yourself why, take a step back and kind of reassess. But you've got to make sure you enjoy what you're doing. So whether that's the training or the competition or just the whole kind of lifestyle it gives you, just make sure you enjoy it.
Yeah, brilliant. Now moving on to the big one, Reformer's Pilates.
Yeah.
So kind of obviously one of the things I spoke to you about before coming on, and just talking about it, because that's actually not something I've actually discussed at all. And I also feel there's a few kind of myths what I bust in terms of it being quite female orientated, which I'm sure you'll help me with. But taking us back with kind of Reformer's Pilates, how did you first come across it?
So it was the year I broke my leg, so about a year and a half ago, maybe a couple of years ago, I'd broken my leg, and I actually hadn't realised I'd broken my leg, so it was a bit of a weird one. So I'd been walking around for a few days with the broken leg, and we got it seen to, found out it was broken, and then it was a long rehabilitation journey. It was 12 weeks, no walking, and then when I was slowly allowed to start walking again, I actually was recommended to do something a bit less impact to begin with. Obviously the sprinting is complete opposite, it's high impact and high intensity. So I was looking into the Reformer Pilates, and because it is a low impact style of movement, it's something that I wanted to give a go. So I looked into it, tried it for the first time, and literally just fell in love with it. I was like, I can't believe it's taken me that long to try it, because I wasn't sure of it before. You see it and you think it's just a little bit of a trend, but when I actually started to kind of learn the history of it and how it's been around for almost 100 years.
Is that how long it's been around?
Yeah, the bed's just evolved now to something more modern. But I think everyone thinks it is, because I always thought, oh, is this just a recent thing that's come out? But it's been around for years.
No way. See, this is going to be all new to me, because as I said, I've not spoke about it, so the fact you've told me that, it's blown my mind.
I know. My mind was blown when I kind of looked into it, and yeah, it's more of a method, and it's about, that body awareness, and it's great for rehabilitation. All physios were recommending it to me as well, so I gave it a go, instantly loved it, and I knew instantly after I'd done a couple of classes I wanted to teach it. I just knew instantly, because obviously I have that personal training background, and I thought this would be an extra thing that I can provide for clients. And I just wanted to show other people how amazing it was.
And you're telling us how amazing it is. As I said, it's like, you always see it, and I'm always like, that just looks mental.
I know.
And then I was like, and then more actually I'd seen your stuff on Instagram, I'm like, I need to ask her to come on and talk about this, because you're going to be the person to talk about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people see Pilates as gentle or slow, but in terms of enhancing performance, what made you realise it's kind of full potential?
Yeah, so in terms of the kind of rehab for my knee, it was great because, like I say, it was low impact.
Yep.
And it is slow and controlled, but that's the kind of whole point of Pilates. It used to be called contrology, control. So yeah, I just knew it was what my body needed, and you can still kind of change the resistance and things like that. So I could, without going into the gym and adding too much weight, I could kind of progressively overload, but more at a gradual pace, because it was bit by bit. Every time I was seeing the physio, kind of every few weeks, he'd say, okay, we're going to level up a little bit and a little bit. So I just found it great for rehabilitation, because you could take it slow. You feel a little bit more supported as well, because you are on that frame, on that bed. So yeah, I just found it really useful for rehabilitation.
Do you think it gets misunderstood in the fitness world?
Yeah, I think it does. I think the main thing people think, I think we might be going to talk about this, is how it's kind of female dominated.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there is a bit of a misconception that it is for females only. And I think the reason behind that is because so many females are doing it, and the reason why it's female dominated is because I find quite a lot of females have tried it and it's just for them, and they've loved it and they've actually stuck to doing it. I think quite a lot of females do struggle to stick to maybe going to the gym or trying out kind of sports or running, but it just seems to be really enjoyable for most females, and they really stick to it and they keep it going. And I think men seeing that and seeing how female dominated it is, they want to kind of shy away from it, but it's not for just females only. We'll talk about that obviously, but it is for both females and males. And the guy that created Pilates was male.
So there you go.
He's called Joseph Pilates.
Right.
So he was a male, that was his surname, and it's named after him.
Yeah.
So
it must be. Why do you think the stereotype exists? Do you think there's a core reason for it? You mentioned a couple of things there, but do you think there's any specific? And how do you
I
specifically
think men
challenge it?
just think it's just stretching and doing the splits, but they don't actually realise that it is, you know, it's a lot about body awareness, control. It's all kind of centred around your core and your spine.
Yep.
So I think it's obviously beneficial for everyone, but maybe men, I'm not too sure, I'm not going to speak on behalf of them, but they might just see it as something, you know, you're stretching, or they might have seen that the classes are all female dominated and feel like they can't go. But I've asked a few of my clients that are males, and yeah, they basically said those things. They thought it was just stretching, they thought it was for females, but as soon as they tried it, they realised, no, this is for everyone.
Yeah, I think one of the videos I seen that wasn't even on your own page, it was someone else's, and I seen like a female, and she put her legs straight, and the next thing she was moving across the bed, but her legs were going up straight. Now I've got a zero hamstring flexibility, so I was looking at that going, I'm absolutely no chance of doing that. I was like, I've got no chance. But I think that's where I see it, especially as a very female dominated thing. But I know in the back of my head it's not. That's just the perception that it gives off.
Yeah, it's the perception.
100%. And in terms of challenging it, challenging people through your coaching with it, have you found your own style with it? And obviously it's getting dead popular. Talk me through that.
So it's getting really popular now, but like I said, it's been around for years and years. So yeah, there's what we call the kind of classical Pilates style, and that is Joe Pilates' method. So it's passed on through generations. So I teach the classical form, but nowadays there's kind of more modernised, dynamic, contemporary style forms of Pilates as well. So that's your typical kind of like Revolution Reformer. They do things more to music, a little bit more fast paced, so it is more contemporary style. So there is, there's two different styles. There's your classics, your contemporary. I go kind of for a classical approach, just so I can pass on the method of the Pilates. But because I've kind of got that personal training background, that kind of fitness instructor background, I do like to add in some more kind of dynamic contemporary style stuff too. Maybe at the end of the class, just to give people an insight into the different styles, to be honest.
I think it's then important in terms of actually including it, as you said, like you've got that coaching background, that PT background, so including that into it's a nice natural flow, isn't it, in terms of adding it in, and I think it's obviously something I'm quite keen to try. I mean, it'll need to take a bit of convincing, but I'll definitely get there. In terms of like moving and how males and females respond to it, what's the differences between the two?
Yeah, so when I first started doing the Pilates, I found that it was 99% females booking, and I had one male come along. And I just thought from there on, okay, I think it's just going to be females. I don't think any males would want to come and try this. But it wasn't until I started doing a little bit of promotion on Facebook about how important it was for males, for their mobility and their strength and things like that, I started to get more males come along. And then once one male tried it, the next male came, maybe his friend came or he brought his son. Had quite a lot of dads bringing their sons that play football. I know you mentioned earlier about your hamstrings being really tight, so it was really interesting because their hamstrings were really, really tight. I think now my kind of class dynamic is kind of shifting. They're getting a lot more males in, and I think it's just once people try it and then they have to realise for themselves that they know how it's going to benefit them and they want to come back, so yeah.
And what would you say to male athletes or gym goers who might dismiss reformers before even giving it a chance? Like myself, to be fair.
I mean, I can actually see why you maybe would just think it's not useful because you've never tried it, and it is kind of, it's not a new concept because it's been around for a while, but the whole kind of trend of it being a lot more popular now, people just assume it's new. But I would tell them to try it, and then I guarantee their mind would change. They're going to feel so much stronger in their core. They're going to have like more control of their spine, but they're going to feel a lot more mobile, especially from if they're a gym goer and they're doing all the heavy lifting. They can kind of, I forgot the words. Not rehab. Recover.
Yeah.
So they can kind of recover from their gym sessions, and if they're more focusing on sports as well, like keeping the strength, for example, we do a lot of hamstring work in Pilates, and everyone needs core strength in any sport, so I think it's really important.
Have you seen more athletes taking it up?
I actually saw Ronaldo try it.
The big man
So
himself.
I was telling everyone that, like, pass it on to your sons, pass it on to your partners. Ronaldo's doing it, so we all need to try it. And other celebrities have been doing it, which I think actually raised a little bit more awareness. And then I've seen lately online that rugby teams have been doing it, football teams have been doing it, and they do all really struggle with it, the males. And I think it's because it's something they've never really incorporated. So flexibility, mobility, or even really focusing on your deep core.
It's never a strong suit.
Yeah,
it's
so,
not a strong suit.
And again, in Pilates, you do a lot of breath work, so it connects to the muscle and the mind. So it's just total body awareness. And yeah, I think it's great. I think everyone should be doing it.
Yeah, that's what we're here to get to promote it. How many sessions would you feel somebody should, like, you know how they say always, you know, you should do this amount of sessions before you see a difference? Everybody's completely different, but what's your kind of take on people doing it? How long should they give it? You know, obviously you say a session to change their mind on how they look at it, so how many sessions should it take before they actually then go, actually this is actually something I want to incorporate in my daily life?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think everyone's obviously different, and quite a lot of people that come to me are currently just doing Pilates, so they've got more time to come to Pilates. I would usually start people in once a week, and then I say if you have the time, you can up it to twice a week, you can maybe even push it to 3 times a week. But however, if someone else is a gym goer or they're maybe doing sports, it's going to be a lot harder to fit 2 to 3 sessions in a week. So even just once a week, as long as it's consistent every week, then I think it's really beneficial.
Yeah, something else that you're qualified in is pre and postnatal work. That's a totally obviously different side to training. How do you balance working with new mums and athletes under the same umbrella? Yeah,
so I got my prenatal qualification at the start of this year, and I absolutely loved the course. Like, it was so interesting, and I always wanted to do it, so I'm glad I finally did it. And then when I started doing the Pilates, I introduced just recently, actually just in the last month, a prenatal Pilates class. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit nervous because it's obviously the first time I've worked with the prenatal ladies, but I'm so glad I did it. It's so rewarding, and they've been coming for like the last 4 to 6 weeks, and yeah, just watching them progress, even though they're obviously progressing themselves in their pregnancy journey, it's nice. It's definitely, you build a kind of emotional connection with the prenatal ladies because, you know, they're opening up to you, they trust you, and yeah, you do feel like you've got quite a lot of responsibility, but it's a responsibility I want to have because I like helping them. I was a little bit nervous when I first started coaching the prenatal ladies. I felt as if, because I've never been pregnant myself, I felt like, are they going to trust me? But you know, I've done my course and I can reassure them with like all my knowledge. So I'm feeling better now that I've started. I just think I needed to start.
Yeah, it's always the same with everything, isn't it? Like your first fitness class, your first spin class, your first PT session, your first Reformer Pilates session. You probably go like, I've done the course for this and I'm qualified, but I don't know why I still feel so nervous.
I think it's the imposter syndrome.
It is a wee bit.
It comes in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that 100%. I was talking to one of the girls in here, and she's just recently started, and she was doing her first class, and she was like, I'm so nervous. She's like, I've got 10 people, I'm so nervous. I was like, but you're the boss, like you're in charge.
And it's a good thing to be nervous about. I feel like that shows that you care.
Yeah, exactly. You're not just kind of walking in and going,
you actually care about it.
5 squats, blah, blah, blah. You're actually giving it time and thought and effort. And obviously you can see that you obviously clearly do that. I'm working with mums, that's something you imagined you'd be doing when you started that PT qualification?
Yeah, I don't know why I leant so far towards it, but I just always knew once I got my PT, once I got my Pilates qualification, I just knew I wanted the pre and postnatal qualification. So I'd considered it for a couple of years, but I was at uni, so I was studying at uni. So after I finished uni last year, it was the first thing on my mind. I couldn't wait to finish uni because then I knew I had more time to go and study this. So I just always knew I wanted to do it. I wanted to, because you see a lot of information online about kind of pre and postnatal, and women really do struggle, and you see it online, but see when you actually see it face to face and you know that you can help someone through that, it's just so rewarding.
Is it completely different, do you think, to dealing with it in person? Is, you know, obviously you see everything online, and I always feel like it's totally misconstrued. And that goes for everything, not just pre and postnatal.
Yeah, you see people's journeys online of them, you know, continuing to work out when they're pregnant or postnatal, and they're really struggling. And then when you talk to these ladies in person, you do just really connect with them because there's so much more to it than, you know, them just feeling they need to work out. They've got to consider other things like, you know, their hormones are shifting all the time. their nutrition will be shifting because of the hormones. So yeah, I take my hats off to them. It's hard to work out whilst pregnant, but I think it just keeps them sane and keeps them fit.
And you
well.
keep them sane as well.
Yeah,
you keep them kicking.
Yeah, they keep me sane as well. So.
It's like works both ways.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest benefits moving back to Reformer's Pilates for a second, physically and mentally, that clients notice once they connect to that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the most common thing I've heard from my clients, and even my own kind of experience, is not feeling as stiff and feeling more mobile in day-to-day life. And as well, the core strength plays a huge part in that, because the more you can kind of strengthen your core, the less back pain you're going to have, because it's kind of one thing leads to another. Yep. So I think if you can work your core, I think it just gives you benefits day-to-day life. And yeah, quite a lot of people have found as well, they've had I've got a few people that have scoliosis, or they've had hip replacements, and they're a little bit nervous to try it at first, but once they realise that it's actually going to help them build strength and be more mobile in that area, but all being low impact, because there's no it's not like you're putting too much force through your joints, it's nice and soft but controlled. I think they really see the benefits, and that's kind of the feedback I've had. I had a guy actually tell me after just 2 weeks, and that was 4 classes he did, his back pain was 10 times better, able to touch his toes, things like that. And he's just saying that even in his life, day-to-day life, he feels a lot more better. Like, he can put his shoes on, tie his laces, put his socks on. So yeah, I just think it just keeps you more mobile and just stronger and just more confident as well. Like, you feel good for doing it. And like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of breath work, so it's that kind of mind to muscle connection that's really good.
And you talk about the benefits there, and I don't know about yourself, but it's the little things for me like that, like bending down to tie my laces or picking stuff off the floor. I feel like it's those day-to-day wins, or little wins, that really make a difference. It's not just I've lost 15 kilos, I've lost 20 kilos, or I've stacked on muscle, or I've got abs, or built bum, or built biceps, chest, whatever it might be. I feel it's the little wins that I get more from than just
And that's why Pilates is so good, because it's all those little wins, like you were saying, like no pain when you're bending over to put your shoes on, just feeling more mobile, getting up in the morning, not feeling as stiff. And yeah, I just think those wins just overpower all the other wins.
How does that make you feel as a PT coach?
Oh, it's hard, because obviously when I'm working in PT, it is really different to the Pilates. Like, people may have a specific goal of, I want to lose X amount of kilos, or I want to gain weight, or I want to build this muscle, that muscle. But with Pilates, it's more of a kind of how you feel, body awareness. It's more of a kind of it's kind of mindfulness in a way, because you are really tuned into your body with that breath work. Obviously, it's great for you in terms of, you are going to lean out, you're going to tone, but it's not really like personal training where you have a specific aesthetic goal. I think quite a lot of people do, I'm not going to say it's a misconception, but have that idea that Pilates is going to make you really, really skinny, but it is more about just being able to move more freely, control, and it's just great. I just love it. But I love both, and this is the thing. I'm like I love them both the same. PT, personal, like gym work and things like that, but Pilates is just, the connection you get with that is just so much more deep. So
yeah, you can see the passion you've got for it, because I feel like you can just go on, but it's brilliant. It's exactly why I wanted you on, because you can just see it. It's just gleaming out of you. In terms of moving on to busting those myths we spoke about, we'd said the females and the males.
Yeah.
If you could bust one myth about Pilates or reformers, what would it be?
It's probably about the female and males, because the guy that created Pilates was a male. He was in a prison camp in Germany, and he was trying to create a way where he could, stay mobile throughout being in this prison camp. So he generally started the Reformer Pilates on a prison bed, and then it evolved from there.
Is that right?
That's how the bed came along. Obviously, it's a lot more modernised now. But yeah, he was also a sportsman. He did lots of different sports, and he used it as a way just to, rehabilitate himself from any injuries and just stay mobile and build a bit of strength too. So I think the whole fact that Pilates stems from a man, I wish more men knew that, and trying to get the history of Pilates and the kind of method has been continued through the generations. I think more men should know that and they should try it.
Well, as I said, I didn't know that, so
I'm like, everyone's baffled when I tell them that it's named after Joseph Pilates.
Yeah, I usually, when I'm getting anyone on, I always generally have a week and I obviously look up some certain things. Yeah. So I look up reforms. I actually specifically never done it today because I actually wanted to hear new things.
Because if you were to look it up, you would have seen all the old black and white photos of the reformer beds, what they looked like in the past, and yeah, I'm sure we could actually get that up, to be fair, on the screen during this, just to show them. But how do you personally use it in your own training, especially after your injury? Yeah, so because I am training pretty much full time for athletics, it's 3 days at the track and then 2 days in the gym. I use it a lot for kind of recovery and rehabilitation if I have any niggles. So I do a lot of kind of hamstring strengthening on it, but that's kind of more specific to me. But in terms of recovery and things like that, my hip mobility, I'm not just saying this, it's improved so much from the Pilates because you're really supported on the machine as well. You can do like the similar classical moves on the floor, but having the machine, you just feel a little bit more supported. So yeah, the mobility has been incredible. Like I've found that really good, especially after a training session or in between training sessions from athletics. It's just been great. And core strength as well. When you're running, not a lot of people would think this, but you're using your core when you're sprinting without even realising. So yeah, just building a deeper connection with my core. Like I feel like I've always had somewhat kind of like abs, but were they even strong before Pilates? I don't even think they were that strong. So now actually strengthening them, it's just been great. I found a difference. I was going to say, you're more advanced in terms of running. You know, if I'm running, I will be using my core, but I don't know it. I'm assuming you're a bit more advanced than me, so you'll know way more. You'll be like, yep, I'm engaging my core. Yeah. Moving on to the PT side of things, obviously you'd mentioned doing that during lockdown, you know, and I think it was quite a common thing. I would say a lot of people shifted into doing PT because online coaching became such a thing then. Yeah. What inspired that decision? It was peak lockdown, and obviously I've always had that kind of sports background. I couldn't access the track or go to the training, so I would be doing a lot of workouts from home in the garden. And then I just thought to myself one day, I'm just going to film my workout and I'm just going to post it. And I posted it on just my normal page at the time and then got quite a good response. And I thought, oh, I may as well, you know, set up a fitness page. So I set up a fitness page and started posting kind of daily workouts on it, just to kind of not only keep myself motivated, but other people. But it really was the response from that and kind of the boredom of lockdown. Yeah. I was like, you know, had all the time on my hands. So I just kept posting, and then my page kind of took off. I started to gain some more followers and people were interacting. So then I decided to look online into if it were possible to do a personal training course online, and I saw that there was one coming up. And at that point, everything was online, like my uni course was online and things like that. So I just went for it and paid for the course, did the course. I think it took me just over 6 months. And yeah, just never looked back since. Would you say it was a quite spontaneous move, or was it always kind of, did you always have it in your mind? I know you'd said you'd always put the video up. Yeah. Did you have it in your mind before that though? Was it something you thought of? I always thought to myself, I wish I had gone to uni to do something sports related, because I did business and Spanish at uni. But at the time when you're picking your uni course, you're told, oh, you won't make money if you go into sports and things like that. So I always just thought, oh no, that can't be an option. So I did always have that mindset of, oh, I kind of just wish I followed and did what I wanted to do, which was sports related. So I think I was like super motivated to do my PT course alongside uni, because it meant I could do both. Yep. So yeah, I would say I've always wanted to do something sports related or health and fitness related. So when I was working out in lockdown and the idea came to me, I just decided there and then I'm going to do it. And then I'm so glad I did it. But because I did it in lockdown, I became qualified when we were still in lockdown. So I actually started online first. And then I came online coaching. Yeah, and then when lockdown shifted, I came and did one-to-one. So I started online first, which at the time was really, really good because everyone was doing things online. So it was really busy, and yeah, I really loved it. I loved how I could help people online without actually meeting them. Yep. But then when lockdown was over and I started working in the gym group in the West End, it was so nice to see people face to face. And as much as I love the online coaching, because you can help anyone from anywhere, like they don't even need to be from the same city or country, you can help them from anywhere. I just really love the one-to-one aspect, like getting to meet people in person and just giving them like the extra tips in person. So yeah, I've absolutely loved doing the PT, and I did it like alongside my uni course as well. So although I was quite tight for time, I would make space for it.
Yeah, that transition you spoke about there, moving from online to in person, I know personally a lot of people struggled with that. Were you quite a people's person always anyway before that? Were you quite good at engaging with people?
I was coaching kids from like the age of like 15, and I didn't think that would like correlate with like coaching people in the gym, but it really did, even though it was obviously a different age group. So I knew that I really enjoyed coaching people in person, but I just hadn't done the personal training in person before. At first, obviously, don't get me wrong, like we were saying earlier, you do get a bit nervous when it's your first client. But as soon as I did it, and it's the feedback as well you get from people, when they give you really nice feedback, it does kind of motivate you and reassures you that the job's right for you. So I think that's why I enjoy it so much, is building the connection with people face to face, and just helping people out.
Yeah, has coaching others taught you anything new about yourself?
Yeah, so I'd say obviously everyone's different and everyone's coming at you with different goals or different past experiences. So I find that really interesting when people open up about something that maybe I've not experienced, and it does make you think twice. And I don't really have an example, but I just really like listening to people's stories. So I'm quite an empath, so I find like as much as I'm coaching them in the gym, I'm also kind of just like keeping them going, making them feel good mentally, and just having good chat as well, which I really enjoy. But yeah, it was nice listening to people's stories. Don't really have much more to say on that. I can't think of an example, but it's annoying because I know there will be one.
It's funny because you go away and you'll think about it.
I know, I'll be like, what's the?
You'll be like, there was so many examples, but that's the thing I think with personal training. You know, me personally, you do learn so much from so many different people, and it's hard to quantify sometimes. Like, you know, you could probably sit there with a list of your clients and you could probably jot 2 or 3 things down that you just kind of learn.
Yeah, if I was to go through it, I could definitely,
Yeah, and they give you a bit of life experience as well, especially, you know, a few of my clients are a little bit older, you know, worked in different businesses, but they've taught me so much that I can take into my life, and I'm sure your clients have also done obviously the same with yourself. What do you enjoy most about working one-to-one with clients?
Oh, there's so many things, but I'd say just making them feel better, whether that's, you know, they're achieving their goals of losing weight or building muscle, but even just making them feel mentally better, like more structure, giving them a routine, giving them something maybe to look forward to. Yeah, I just like helping people out, to be honest.
You've always been like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I had a caring job before. I've coached the kids, and then I also did I coached a disability group as well, which was really eye-opening because I'd never worked with any kids that had disabilities before. So that was an eye-opener, but it was the most rewarding thing I've done. And that did open my eyes. But the fact that I was able to help that kind of population that needed that little bit more assistance was really rewarding. So yeah, you do learn a lot from the different things that you do. But yeah, in terms of personal training, I think it is just kind of helping people feel better and feeling better for them, maybe mentally or physically. So
yeah, in terms of transformation, because obviously a lot of people, and the majority of people, that's what they're there for. They're there to transform, whether it's, you know, physically or mentally, or professionally. You know, even some people try to improve their jobs.
Yeah.
What's one transformation that's really stuck with you?
It's actually one of my close friends now. So she started off as a client. Her name's Rachel, and she was, I don't want to get it wrong, but she lost over like 30 kilos.
Wow.
Yeah, and we went from being like, I was her coach, she was my client. Obviously we had a great connection, but we ended up meeting up, becoming friends. And then now she's gone on to study personal training herself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I just thought, wow, that's
You've
just
inspired
great.
her a little bit then, did you say?
I think so.
Yeah.
I want to say
you don't want to say
she did say I inspired her, but I don't want to take all the credit. But yeah, just things like that, like huge weight loss transformation, and now she's going on to become a personal trainer herself. And I just think that's one
of
the...
proud?
Yeah, I feel proud. It's a big step, but she's wanting to go forward and do it, and I think she should, and she's doing it, so she's going to stick with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you'd be way back at the start, we spoke about you obviously helping younger people, you know, through that kind of younger age when things are changing, especially younger females, and then you're obviously now looking at the other side of it, you know, maybe people that have had a transformation, massive transformation, them wanting to maybe go and help others.
Yeah.
So you inspiring people, whether you want to agree with it and say that you did or not. I know you've been very modest, which is very nice of you, but like helping people and helping them inspire themselves to then become better versions to help other people.
To help others.
It must be such a nice feeling.
It is a great feeling, and when she told me that she was going to study, I was like over the moon for her. I was quite emotional at the time. I was like, that's just insane that you've gone from this to this, and now you want to carry that on to help other people. And just being part of that journey for that client, and then they're moving on now. So it's great, and yeah, I've had some friends too that in my training group that have come to me and said, oh, I really want to become a personal trainer, and I'm always that person to say, do it. So I've actually, 2 of the girls in my athletics training group are now studying to be PTs. So I feel like I do have that effect on people where I'm just like super, super positive.
Influential.
But I'm like that because I know it's such a good career, and my experience with it's been great, and I know that they would thrive in it, especially coming from like a sporting like background. So yeah, I'm always telling people just to do it.
Yeah, it's what you said at the start, and just do it.
Just do it.
What's one piece of advice you always give clients who struggle to stay consistent?
Okay, so it really depends on the client, I've found.
Everybody's different, yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
I'd say I'm not really a strict PT, but I'm quite good at motivating people. So whether that's just checking in and not being, you know, too in their face, like, oh, have you done this, have you done this, have you done this? Make it more of a kind of natural chat, you know, ask them how their week has been, what did you get up to, and then just kind of take it from there. Actually find out what's kind of going on in their life, I found has really, really helped kind of understand them. And then once you kind of get that connection and you're chatting about not only their plan and their nutrition, but also their life, like their lifestyle and their job, and whether that's school or uni, or their relationship problems, like the more you can understand them as a person and what's going on in their life, the more you can help them be more consistent. And then just allowing them that little bit of flexibility, but also trying to motivate them at the same time. I found that really, really useful. So just trying to be as honest and open with each other as you can, I find.
Yeah, something that I actually spoke about the other week with Dean, one of the other guys come on. I feel like a lot, well, this isn't every PT, so I'm not slighting anyone, but it's very much about the numbers. You know, it's like, what was your calories over the weekend?
Yeah.
What did you drink over the weekend? How many times did you train? It's like, no, there's more to life than just that. You know, you need to sometimes find, what did you do at the weekend? Is everything all right? Sometimes, maybe if somebody's not done something, it's not just because they couldn't be arsed. Sometimes it's because there's actually something going on. As you said, ask them questions. How are you? What's been happening?
Like
checking in.
Treat them as a friend, or like,
it's have a bit of humility, you know, just, it's not just about the number. Sometimes if you can get to the core root of a problem, if you can get to the root of it, then you can solve it, rather than just kind of worrying about the top layer and just getting that, and then let's move on, just get the calories the next day. Sometimes it's a wee bit deeper than that.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that consistency in terms of overall, you know, if somebody's obviously wanting to transform themselves, they need to be consistent? Do you feel that came from your athletics background?
I think so. I think my kind of background in athletics has made me be more consistent, not only with like doing all my qualifications and things like that, but just with my own training as well. I guess I've got the purpose of being, you know, I've got competitions coming up, or I need to, you know, stay fit throughout the winter to then be stronger in summer, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think for me, coming from a sporting background, the structure of that training and having competitions to plan towards has really helped with consistency. So I guess that's why it's so good for clients that you're coaching to have goals, but that doesn't need to be such a strict goal. It can be really flexible depending on your client and what they're wanting. You know, one of their goals might just be, I just want to get up and go on a walk every day, and that's their goal for them. Someone else might want to, you know, lose X amount of kilos in like 3 months, and then that's their goal. So it's specific to each person. But I do feel like coming from that sporting background, it's kind of rooted in me a bit more. So, but that's why I like to help others, because even if they haven't come from a sporting background, I like to make them feel as if like they can still enjoy exercise, because they may have, you know, hated PE in school.
Yep.
But I always say, no, you're going to love the gym, or you're going to love the Pilates. You just need to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And then that's why you're there to help. So.
Do you feel that? I feel that quite a lot of people that don't like the gym generally didn't like PE at school. I don't know if you've asked people that, but I've asked a few of my clients and they said they hated PE at school, and that's why they got a PT, because they hated the gym. Yeah,
I think especially females, like they hated PE. I think it again can depend on your teacher. If you have a really good teacher, whether that's in like any subject, you're going to like it a lot more. But I remember PE in school, you'd have maybe like half of the class that loved it and they were thriving, and then the other half that just didn't want to get up or do anything. But I don't know if that was the teacher or just kind of the environment of maybe doing something that they weren't interested in. Like not everyone's going to love cross country, but the school might make you do it, that kind of thing. So I think that's why people like the gym, because they can kind of choose what their goals are and work towards them. It's more kind of independent to them.
How do you feel about that in terms of gym anxiety? Now, a lot of people that come to personal training obviously have some form of gym anxiety. They don't want to go, they don't know what to do. I try to tell my clients, and it takes a lot of drumming in, but what's your opinion on people getting to the gym themselves, especially your clients? You need to go to the gym yourself. You need to take that responsibility, that accountability to go yourself. Yeah. Because no one actually cares what you're doing in the gym.
I know.
Do you try and tell them that?
I say that to them. I say, look, no one actually cares, but they're not going to believe that until they feel that. Yep. So it's quite common with my online clients, because obviously I'm not meeting them one-to-one, but I'm providing them a program to go to the gym. Yep. So they come to me and they're saying, oh, I've always wanted to try the gym, but I've got no structure, no plan. And I think the first step for the gym anxiety is having a structure and a plan, so that before you go to the gym, you can see what you're doing. You kind of know what equipment's listed. Yep. And I think that helps a lot. I think not everyone likes to train with other people, but I would always say, take a friend, take your partner, your mum or your dad, anyone, and go with someone. And the third point, as you mentioned, just no one cares. But
that's
a hard one to get used to, because I remember when I first went to the gym, I was so anxious. Yep. But I just forced myself, because, I had things from my coach that he'd given me for my athletics training. So again, that was a little bit easier because I knew I had to go do it. But for someone just starting out, just structure, take someone with you, and just keep that mindset of no one cares. And I always say to clients, everyone's in the gym to better themselves. Like whether that's they're trying to lose weight, they're trying to put on muscle, they're just trying to get endorphins or improve their mental health. Everyone is in the gym to improve something and better their life. So always just remind yourself that when you are in the gym environment. But it's such a difficult one, because, as I said, when I started off in the gym, I was petrified.
I struggle to believe that.
I was.
As I said, it's funny because you think, like, you're sitting here now, obviously personal trainer, Reformer Pilates, pre and postnatal qualified, and then sitting here, like, some people probably like and go, no way, as I've just said to you, I'm like, no way.
I know, and that's why I don't really tell people that, because I feel like they're not really going to believe it, but because I've come from that kind of sporting background. But when we kind of introduced weight training when we were like 16, 17, it was new for us. Yeah. We'd always been sporty and doing the running and the events at the track, but in terms of the strength training and the sport specific stuff that we had to do, that was all new and quite scary, stepping in the gym for the first time. But once you do it, it can only get better from there. Yeah. So
I have nothing more to say on that. So that's it. Moving back to that, leg break you spoke about last year, a huge setback for someone like yourself who is so active. Can you talk me through that experience? And obviously then, you've obviously touched massively on the recovery process, but, talk to me through that.
Yeah, so, it was a huge setback, because I just gotten into the flow of things. So I remember on the Sunday I'd done my first competition of the season, and then back at training on the Monday, and then that's when I broke my leg. So I'd only done one competition in the season, and then I broke my leg the next day. In terms of setbacks, it was quite frustrating, obviously, because I wasn't able to do anything for a few months, and everyone else around me in the training group was competing and doing really well. So yeah, it was pretty like hard mentally. I am quite good at staying positive, but as much as I say that, I wouldn't say that it was plain sailing. Like seeing the other people in your training group do well and just wondering what you're going to be like when you come back into the sport, because athletics is such like high intensity, it's like high impact. You're thinking, will my legs stay okay? Is it going to regress? Yep. So it was just about being patient, but I had a really good experience with the physio I had, and I think that really helped. And I found that in the past, if I had an injury, whether it was just a niggle or maybe not something too serious, I would just rush back into things. But this time round, I actually took it slow, and then obviously introduced the Pilates to help with the rehabilitation. And I think because I was so patient and gradual with my rehab, that's why I've, touched wood, not had any issues since. Yep. But yeah, it was a bit frustrating because I came back and everyone else was doing things like 100 miles an hour, and I had to take things slow, and I had lost a lot of muscle mass. My appetite had changed, and yeah, I just felt completely different in my own skin. But it's true what they say about muscle memory. 4 or 5 weeks later, the muscle was back and the fitness had started to improve. So it's just about being patient, I guess. But it was difficult.
Yeah, you spoke about that positivity there.
Yeah.
You can throughout this whole chat, all I've sensed is nothing but positivity. Yeah, no, you're really, really positive person. It's really nice. So I can only imagine how hard that must have been for you, for being such a positive person, to then put a positive spin on something that I can't imagine has happened to you at all before that. Is that right in saying?
Yeah, no, I'd never broken a bone before that. So I think another thing that kept me going through the injury was I was finishing off my final year of uni, so I had a dissertation to write. So I was stuck in my room, which was a bit like mentally like wasn't the best place to be in, because you're already stressed with uni and things like that. But I guess it meant that I sat at my desk for most of the day and I got it done. So yeah, I think that even though it wasn't the best situation, it did help me finish uni and stay focused. But yeah, I was really missing exercise mentally. Like I know physically, it's nice to stay in shape and get the numbers and things like that. But for me, the main reason I really enjoy the sports and the exercise is that it does make you feel so good mentally. Yep. And being able to go from training 5-6 times a week to then having a cast on your leg that you can't move it, you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is the end of the world. But then everything was fine in the end. It always is fine. Yeah,
and it's funny because obviously everybody that watches this and anybody that watches this will probably see yourself and think, oh, just like so happy and positive, and talks really well. But it just shows you, you've been through that, that leg break. You did have gym anxiety. You did go through these things, and it's like, even though you're going through the negatives, and sometimes life is a bit shit, there is the other side of it, and sometimes it is hard to see when you're in those moments. In terms of that injury, did that change your perspective on training or how you approach it? Yeah, I'm definitely listening to my body a lot more now, because there would be times in the past where I would feel a niggle or I would feel maybe an injury coming on, I would just ignore it because I was like, go to the back of the head. But now I feel like from all the physio I did and doing my Pilates course with all that anatomy in it, you've got to recover. So yeah, it's made me be a lot more patient, I feel. Feel more resilient? Yeah, definitely, yeah. And in terms of helping your clients, do you feel that that's gave you another insight and another kind of string to your bow, if you like, to helping them? Yeah, so, especially in the Pilates, because there's also kind of like the older population that come along because it's low impact, so it's great for them, and them telling me about their hip replacements or their scoliosis, or like even the postnatal clients that have had kids. You just kind of understand what it's like to be in a position where I once was, where you feel a little bit vulnerable. So you definitely understand your clients a lot more. And I had a client recently that broke her leg, and I thought, don't you worry, I've been there, so I can help you. So yeah, you feel like you can connect more with someone. And yeah, I think as well, just having the knowledge from
all the courses I've done, but also a lot of my knowledge does come from my experience in sports.
Yep.
I feel like it really helps me understand people, but there'll always be maybe someone tell you something that you're not too sure of, but then that's what I quite like, because then I can learn more about something that I don't know, so I'm always open to that.
You seem like a bit of a sponge. I just get that off you, like you seem like you're always wanting to learn and there's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
I really like that about you. In terms of wrapping up, you know, you've come out the other side of that injury, you know, you've faced gym anxiety, you've got over it. What's next for you personally, you know, athletically, professionally, where do you see yourself going?
So in terms of athletics, I had a really good summer season, so I'm hoping just to kind of keep on a high from that and take that into the winter season. I'm probably like competing the best I am right now, so just keep that going, because I feel like I'm finally back on track from my injury. So yeah, just work towards more PBs in athletics, and in terms of work, just keep building the online coaching, the personal training, and the Pilates all at the same time, which is quite hard to kind of jumble them, but just keep that all going and maybe expand into a bigger space for Pilates so I can get more people to come down.
No, it's as I said, like, you know, looking at your page and looking at what you're doing just now, you know, from me, my perspective, I see nothing but good things in terms of, like, you know, the direction you're going, the direction you're taking people, obviously inspiring others to become personal trainers. It really is like something you should be proud of, you know, because you're doing such great things. But yeah, thank you so much for today, coming on and talking about the Reformers, because as I said, I had absolutely no clue about the Reformers.
You need to give it a go and tell me what you think.
Yeah, no,
I think you would like it.
No, I definitely need to give it a try. I'll give you a shout for that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on and talking everything to do with you. Thank you
so much. You're welcome.
Cheers, bud. Thank you.